And hello everybody, this is Bloody Sword here yet again with another StarCraft 2 replay loss analysis video. I'm going to be looking at a TvP that I played on New Creek Precinct, or not even, wow, this is Star Station, not even close. So my opponent is going to be going for some sort of proxy play. It is going to be just like a proxy stalker, zealot type thing. And I wanted to go for a reactored Reaper opening. Since this map, again, I really like Reapers on this map, this giant area for Reapers to jump up. So I'm going to just be placing my barracks in position to immediately start that reactor, not going to be doing anything else. Going to be pumping up to it, but again, my opponent is going to be going for this proxy gateway. I was very lucky because he placed or sent the probe into my base from this angle, so I was able to see that his probe was already skidding along this area, and then I was able to just properly adjust to it. So he's going to be throwing down his cybernetics core, I guess, in his main base, and also whatever. So I'm going to be looking for proxies with this watchtower. I see the probe from this angle. So I'm like, oh, okay, that is really, really suspicious. What is he doing? So I send the SCV over here, and then I see this Zealot going to be chrono boosted. I have another SCV in production, and then I should throw down another supply depot over here to deal with it. I do scout the Zealot, and I'm going to be finishing off this wall end. He doesn't place his probe over the supply depot. That might have caused me some issues, but he's pretty bad. He just wanted to kill off this SCV. So I'm going to be pulling off 3 SCVs. I don't feel like this is too many or too little. I feel like this is a good number of SCVs, so I'm pretty happy with that. He doesn't target fire the SCV building, but again, I have 3 SCVs over here anyway, so it is going to finish, and I will be able to get the repair off. I make 2 Marines instead of 2 Reapers, because I feel like once he gets those Stalkers out, the Marines will fare much better. As in for production, this is so delayed. I could have started this factory a lot earlier. I already have a bunch of SCVs on auto repair anyway, so I didn't need to keep looking at this. I should have been managing my economy. Another thing that I have issues with is knowing where to look and how long I should be looking. I know that I focus too much on the battles itself and not focusing enough on my macro, because this is a game of macro and you just need to work on that more than anything. So I pick off a Zealot, he picks off one of my Marines, and I'm trying to get the Stalker down, but unable to do so. He puts his Zealot over here, and I'm going to have to swing my Marines all the way around. I can't lower the supply depot and try and kill it that way, or else I'm going to just get rushed into from the Stalkers and the Zealot. But constant Marine production, I know that I had constant Marine production, so I was happy about that. I'm going to be building a Widow Mine. In his production tab, he's going to be throwing down another gateway. He has the Cybernetics core up. Doesn't start the Warp Gate technology yet, and he does have a Mothership core, so he's going to be able to get high ground vision, and with that, he's going to be poking up with a lot of Stalkers and dealing with it that way. My constant Marine or SCV production, not the greatest. But at this point, I really don't need that many more SCVs. What I want to be doing is saving up for things that will help me push down my ramp and get back into this game. So at this current point, I have like 11 Marines, and 11 Marines versus 4 Stalkers. Each takes 3 Marines to kill 1 Stalker. So yeah, I don't have quite enough yet, and I'm trying to load up all the weak Marines into this bunker, and I was able to do so a little bit, but anyway. Mothership core is going to give him high ground, so he's now going to be able to start chipping away at all my buildings. I really can't do anything to prevent this. I really didn't think about what he could be doing as a follow-up, and just this high ground advantage and the Stalkers outranging my Marines is giving me a very hard time dealing with this. I should have had a Widow Mine over here earlier. This bunker, maybe a little bit closer to the wall, and that would have been enough. So I think I also should have made a tech lab on this factory so I could follow up with tanks. I feel like Banshees was probably a bad choice. It's more of like a game ender, only if you're underestimating your opponent, I feel, because he's probably going to be following this up with either an expansion and a robotics facility, which he already has, and he will be prepared to deal with the Cloaked Banshees. I feel like tanks would have been a lot better. They would have completely stopped this pressure because these Stalkers would have just gotten completely shut down. The splash damage of the siege tanks with good positioning is just way too good. So I have a Banshee out. He's going to be targeting firing it, and I take a lot of damage. I kill off one of the Stalkers with this Widow Mine, and I send these SCVs to repair it. I have enough for an expansion. His macro is just very poor again, but yeah, his just macro is very poor, but the decision making by me needs a lot of work as well. So here's a command center going to be going down in my main base, and the Stalkers can't really poke at this place anymore because I have a sort of nicely positioned Widow Mine. Actually, I didn't see how small this little AoE is, so he really can't shoot anything. I now have cloaking, so he really can't do anything against this. I'm going to be poking at one of the Stalkers, and I don't believe I get it. I think it needs like one more shot, yeah. Unfortunate for me, 2 HP left, and I'm eventually going to be poking out of my base. I kill off one Zealot, and I'm going to be picking off this pylon finally. He's about to get Warp Gate. His production tab shows 2 more gateways on the way, and I have a command center on the way. Tech Lab maybe would have been nice, again, because I did scout a lot of Stalkers, especially since I kind of forced them with my Banshees, but again, I don't think Banshees was the proper, a good decision to follow up with. I feel like tanks would have been a much more solid choice, and constant marine production is kind of failing me as well. I could have thrown down 2 additional barracks right here as well, would have been great, because I need to start the stem and I also need to start the combat shields. So I eventually pull back one of the Banshees, and he's going to try and repower this building, but he's kind of underestimating me here, assuming that I'm never going to shoot this down. I see the probe, and I'm going to be killing that off, so he's not even going to be able to repower that. So I already send some SCVs to the natural, because when I have this many SCVs, I'm just going to be losing, I'm not going to be getting that much more income anyway, and I don't want to be mining this out more than it already is with all these mules. Sorry about the beeping, that's my washing machine. So the forge is going to be going down, and I start poking in. He already has his mothership, and I know that I didn't kill it, so there is going to be a photon overcharge. I didn't even think about this. The Widow Mines are eventually going to be going down, not doing too much. I should have just pulled back at this point. I'm fighting into the photon overcharge, and this is just making me take way more damage than I need to. He has an observer. I knew that he had an observer, and all these Stalkers are just going to be killing off everything. He kills off all these Widow Mines. I got 2 kills on one of them, but that was it. I get another kill on this Widow Mine as well, but I just lost so many units from this engagement. We're about even, but with how ahead I was from just holding off his very early aggression, I feel like that decision just put me in a pretty bad spot. In the units tab, I'm behind in supply, and normally Terran players want to be ahead of that. He's also starting up Colossus production, and do I start Ravens? I think I wanted to start Ravens, because I wanted to try out this new thing. I wanted to start placing Ravens in my army, so especially since Protoss units clump up so nicely, if you can get a couple of good, Seeker missiles on the Colossus, they're either going to have to pull the Colossus back, which will reduce the DPS of their army, which is really, really nice, or they're just going to have to take it, and they're going to splash amongst all of the ground units and air units near it, which is just ridiculously good as well. So this Banshee is eventually going to be killing off this gateway, and he has another probe over here. I'm not really... Did he hide a base? I didn't even know about this. I guess he hit a base. I'm assuming that's what he's doing right now, because I didn't scout his 3rd base until quite later in this game. And in the production tab, I eventually just start a lot of Marauders. I only have single medevac because I still have this Tech Lab on here. And yeah, here goes the Nexus. Wow, he hit a base and I wasn't even aware of that either. Things I could have done to scout, or I could have scouted with this Banshee and just constantly made sure that he wasn't doing anything. And I didn't really need this for defense anyway. I tried to scout this watchtower because I thought he might have a proxy pylon, then I think I scouted down here, but just checking the bases, I guess, would have been more important. I seriously didn't know about this base for a while, or at all in this game. So gotta be more active on the map, gotta be more active looking for hidden expansions like that. I eventually get the other gas at my natural expansion because I'm pumping up the double upgrades quite heavily. I don't have the armory yet in production, and that is going to delay my 2-2 quite a bit. The armory should start around halfway through the engineering bay upgrades itself, so it can just like constant protection. And so that's another mistake by me. Couple more marines should have been built. Again, my production not the best. I'm thinking about getting concussive shells here. I eventually get my third base up as well, so I'm not too far behind Inokane, even though he is hiding this base over here. He's eventually going to be securing that, but when I scout he doesn't have a third base, I feel like I'm super far ahead when I'm not because of this. So I eventually catch up in the supply tab because I'm better at macroing than him. He's been floating a lot of minerals, and his upgrades aren't that great either. I believe he's on 1-0 and I'm on 1-1, but then again my upgrades are going to fall behind in a little bit. So I start production of SCVs. I should be canceling one of these SCVs and eventually going into an orbital command at my third base. Do I eventually start that Raven? I just don't have enough gas, really, because I need, once I spend the upgrades, or the gas on the upgrades, I'm going to be pretty starved for that. I know I float some minerals here sometime, and wow, everything is just so delayed, so I eventually start 1-1. This orbital command is quite delayed. I have way too many SCVs over here. I need to be throwing them down over here. I don't know exactly what I'm doing at this point. I think I scanned his main base and I saw a bunch of Colossus. So I'm going to eventually start Viking production, but again, this is a tech labbed starport, so I'm going to have very, very few Vikings. At this point, yeah, I'd eventually start the second starport and the factory. The factory isn't doing anything at this point, so I probably should be starting a reactor on this factory, maybe like down here or up here, because I have enough tanks to do whatever I want with. This is more than enough. If I was just more patient with my push, then it would have done a lot more damage, but anyway. Constant SCV production. Now I finally think I transferred, yeah, some of my SCVs to my third base. And this base has gotten way more than it should have. He has more gateways on the production tab. Since I established my third base, yeah, okay, I eventually throw down 3 more barracks, which I'm happy with. I should be throwing down a ghost academy as well, but I don't. Here's the engagement, and this engagement was just very poor. I didn't siege up my siege tanks until too late. They were in the front as well. I have some units in these medevacs. These guys aren't doing any DPS at all, as well as these guys. The engagement was pretty bad. I tried to stagger some units so they don't take all the splash damage of the Colossus, but I don't do it fast enough, and because all my units weren't attacking at the same time, the engagement was actually quite bad for me since he still has 4 Colossus. And I did not macro in that engagement at all, so you can see my minerals just skyrocketing right here. I try and establish a 4th base, I believe, here since I floated so many minerals, but that's not going to be working so great for me. Eventually kill off this. I was afraid of DTs since he was kind of behind, so I just placed a missile turret right there. Delayed DTs are always still a thing. He delays my 4th base, and I don't even believe that I realized he just killed that off. I thought he might have killed off the actual CC, but that's actually pretty good. So I catch up again in the army, or the supply, but my upgrades are delayed. I eventually start +3 attack. +3 armor is going to be quite delayed because I don't have enough gas. I have another starport, and I have a bunch of things queued up. This is quite a bit of gas as well, so I needed to start a reactor. I was just afraid he was going to be pushing into my main base, so I didn't want to spend that extra time building that reactor. And this is another reason why I should be using the factory to build all my add-ons for my starports. I was thinking about getting the blue flame for the factory so I can get Hellbats as well, but Marine Marauder just works way too well, and the time and cost of the blue flame I just feel isn't worth it anymore. Hellbats are nice, but they're just, compared to good old Marine Marauder, I don't feel it's quite as necessary. I scan a bunch. I don't need to be scanning this much. I already see his army, so I see he has. I don't even click his army, in all honesty, and that's going to be bad for me as well. He secures another base down here, and again, I don't know about any of these bases at all. I'm just turtling, and that's pretty much it. I eventually start this base, happy with that. Floating quite a bit of minerals again. I think I have enough production, I'm not producing out of my production. Still no Ghost Academy, which is also a problem. Ghost Academy should be going down when I have all of my 3 bases up, all my gases up, and all my production in a good spot. I still like the tech lab on 1 starport at least, so I'm thinking about starting off with a reactor starport and then going into a tech lab starport for ravens and banshees and things like that. Delayed banshees are still quite good because most Protoss players don't place cannons in their main base as much anymore with the Hellbat nerf. This guy did, but I'm really not too sure why. And so here's my army. It's still ahead of his, I believe. In the worker tab, we're dead even in workers pretty much, and the army, I'm slightly ahead. A lot of my supply is right here, but this is a pretty even engagement. I only have 1 siege tank, so I'm pretty sure I just leave this unsieged. My control of my armies, not that great. I still don't have any ghosts, so I can't EMP anything. He has High Templar, and they're about to have Storm, I believe. I thought he got Storm. Yeah, he has Storm now. So this engagement doesn't go great for me. I did a couple of the Seeker missiles. They did some pretty nice damage, but the rest of the engagement wasn't that great for me. I eventually sent my Vikings off, and the Viking TPS, it just wasn't all at the same time, which was another problem. I need to either just put them all in the same group and control them individually, which I really don't want to do, or something else, and I just need to practice control of my late game army a lot better. So here's my planetary fortress. I'm not sure how many kills this thing gets, but I know that I don't repair it because I was just trying to spread out my units so I can deal with his army, and the Colossus just do way too much damage for me to deal with, and I don't have enough to actually kill his army at this point. Didn't scout this base, didn't scout this base. I didn't try to drop any of these bases either. I don't know what he was doing with this either. He could have just sent a zealot and placed this observer over here or something, even like a probe, since this is mined out. But okay, so things to learn from this game. This push, very bad. I need to think about what he still has. He still had his mothership core full of energy. Also, I could have just pulled back. There's nothing wrong with just pulling back from a proton overcharge. The production was okay. The reactor on one of these starports is probably more essential. The factory should have had a tech lab on it earlier to deal with all the stalkers. And earlier Ghost Academy, 3rd base, once that's up, it's fine. But besides that, my production I feel like was good. 6 barracks, 7 barracks, right? 7 barracks I feel is good, with 2 starports, and especially on 3 base, so I think that's more than enough. Once I get my 4th base established, I can throw down like 3 more barracks over here. And I think that's around it. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that regardless. So just need to be more active with scouting. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys later.